Hello, everyone, and welcome to RBCM at Home. My name is Kim Goff, and I'm a learning program developer at the Royal BC Museum. I'm coming to you today from the Royal BC Museum, which is located on the territories of the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations, known as the Lekwungen people in Victoria, British Columbia. The Lekwungen have lived on this land since time immemorial, and they continue to care for it and create on it. And I'd like to express my sincere gratitude for the opportunity to live and to work here. This series started when we were asked to work from home when the pandemic began in 2020. During that time, we've gone from twice a week to once a week, and now sometimes about once a month. And all of those programs have been recorded, and you can find them on the Royal BC Museum's YouTube channel and the RBCM at Home playlist. Today, I've gathered a panel for the purposes of discussing our current feature exhibition, Between Us, Adad Hanna's Social Distancing Portraits. At the outset of the pandemic, artist Adad Hanna took to the streets of Vancouver to document the significant time. Over the span of a year, he created 237 video portraits of everyday people doing everything from relaxing in the park to protesting Black Lives Matter, returning to school, and getting vaccinated. Accompanying these video portraits is a moving sound composition and personal narratives from the sitters. Today, we have the artist, Adad Hanna, one of the composers of the music, Bridget Deitcher, and models Sherry and Stephen to share more about their experiences. Welcome, everybody. Great. Adad, I'm going to start with you. For people who haven't yet had a chance to see this work, can you explain what is a tableau vivant?
Sure. A tableau vivant is translates to living picture, and I set up a camera the same way you would kind of set up to take someone's picture, but I'm shooting video, and then I ask people not to move. And in most of my work, I record for 5, 6, 7 minutes. But in this project, I just recorded for 1 minute because they were mostly people like Sherry and Stephen that I just stopped on the street. So it made sense to have them be shorter. And also, I guess, because they started as something on Instagram, it kind of, a 5-minute video of someone standing still on Instagram would be difficult. But it's something I've been doing for a long time, but never mixed with the kind of portraits like these.
Can you tell, when did you get started? What was the inspiration to do a tableau vivant?
Oh, actually in 2001 or something, actually Bridget Deitcher, who's on this call, we were in school together at Concordia in like first year of our master's. And I guess I was interested in making, Bridget had a lot more experience with video than I did at that time. And I was making these videos where I wanted to see what would happen if you took everything away from a video that makes it a video. So you take away motion, take away sound, take away action, and what are you left with? And so I was doing this reductionist process, and then a professor said, that's a tableau vivant. And I had no idea what that meant. And so I had to go look it up. And then I was fascinated by like the history of tableau vivant, how it fed into the history of photography. And yeah, so 20 years.
20 years, wonderful. Can you share, I think you have some there with you. Could you share a tableau vivant for us so people can get a sense of this experience? What I find so delightful and what I think other people do, you feel a bit like you're looking at a photo, but then your photo moves on you. So
here, I'll start with the one I did of Sherry and Stephen.
Okay. Yeah, there's wonderful moments there where Sherry, it almost looks like you're talking to Stephen. Were you saying anything to Stephen during that moment?
Yes, he was laughing. We were kissing and he was just started laughing because he found that it was strange for one. And then I was saying to him, stop laughing, you're going to make me laugh. Because my dad said it's very hard to stand there for that long. Right?
Yeah, so Tell me about that day. You were just walking down the street and this.
No, we live just at David Gray Park on Rumble and McKay. And a dad was walking down the street and he had taken a picture of I live in a seniors building. And there was a senior on the corner named Susan in a red jacket. Do you remember a dad? Her?
Oh yeah, sure. Here, I'll pull her up.
She's passed away. Okay. She's passed away. She did assisted suicide last year. So I told her family I would mention her today because that picture in the little red coat, yes, pull her up because it just reminded me of Little Red Riding Hood. There she is. That's Susan.
Thank you for sharing Susan's name and story. That's a beautiful part of this exhibit is these moments that captured that a dad was able to capture at that time. And it's lovely to see her and to be reminded of her. So thank you for sharing that, Sherry. I think you're still, we'll get you to unmute there.
Yeah,
and you
you're
were going to
very
say,
welcome.
yeah, so Sherry had her photo taken first. Or sorry, Susan had her photo.
So then we noticed Dad and we were all watching, right? So he just walked up to the fence and we were standing in the back garden and asked us how he felt if we would take a picture. Very open, very upbeat. He didn't scare me off. And sure, let's give it a go. And I think it is awesome. Yeah, it was a very good experience, especially during the pandemic because we felt so locked, so isolated.
Yeah.
And being seniors, we're in a seniors building, so we had to be safe too, right? Watching out. So yeah, it didn't even make us feel it was a great day. So
now,
yeah.
This person comes up and asks you, is very open. How did you decide on your pose? How did you decide that you were going to kiss?
Well, we were actually standing up against the fence, watching something at the dog park. So I just decided to give Steve a kiss and I thought that would work. I don't know why I did. I should have stood still because it was very hard to hold that kiss with my husband laughing.
We got through it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been married 35 years now.
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Now, I know there's a little bio that accompanies your photo. Do you remember what you said in your little story?
No, it's been a couple of years.
When you look at it now, I think, what I was hearing you say a little bit in the moment is a little bit about being seen, especially
Yes.
at a time during COVID, being seen by somebody else. And how do you feel about that? This is now an exhibition where people are looking at this photo and they're seeing you now from that time. What would you like to tell them about yourself?
Well, it was very hard during the pandemic because, I'm a senior. I'm 65 years old, and I always thought, well, no one's going to tell me I can't go here, can't go there. And it was hard to stay home. So when this gentleman when a dad approached us to be seen, it felt like we weren't forgotten because I didn't see my family, right? Even though they were close, 4 blocks away, I chose not to because Steve has some health issues. So we thought we have to be safe. So when we got approached like that, I was a little leery. I'm not gonna, I was, I can't remember if we were masking at that time, but after standing, doing the pose and Dad, you really invited me in as a human. Like you made me feel relaxed. And I'm a hard person to have that, happen to, be honest with you. So I appreciate you for that. And yeah, it felt good to be seen. It just felt, and now that we're at exhibition, we really didn't get over to Victoria. We're so sorry, but I don't know if you're extending it or not, but
yes,
it feels good.
Well, that's always good to talk about. Yeah, the exhibit is extended. It's on now until I believe November the 14th. We'll put those.
Well, I'm going to come. I'm definitely going to hop that ferry, walk on, and come and see it with my husband.
Yeah, for sure.
So Dad has put up here in the chat, he's put what you said in your little portrait in your bio. And it says 30 years married, It's been pretty cool. Actually, we've become better friends. Reality has actually set in. This is the time to love each other now. COVID is
Yes.
scary, but you just have to stick together.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So our
And that-
anniversary is this Friday, and it would be 33 years, the day after, yeah, a couple of days. And it has been very, very, very long, but
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it brought us closer. It really did.
Yeah.
You know, it
A stronger bond between us now. Like it's,
Mm.
yeah,
yeah, I think so, because you know, you get cabin fever, you get, I learned things about Steve I didn't know. He learned things about me. After 33 years, we're still learning, right? So yeah. And to
Yeah.
get out that day, we hadn't gone out a lot, I'll be honest.
yeah,
We were kind of staying in. So that day when we walked in, Dad was out there, bless Susan's heart, like to see him down there, I'm nosy. So I'm like, oh, who's this guy taking picture, right? And then, yeah, it felt great. So
Dad, was that on purpose? How did you choose to go to that home in particular, or were you just out on a
Yeah, I'm
walk?
trying to see if I have a. Oh, it's research paused. Just trying to share my screen here. I was going to
There you
show
Yeah.
show my kind of setup.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, you can see that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I had
there
a long lens on my camera, so this is about how far I was away from people. So I would kind of, I'm sure with Sherry and Steve too, because you know in the early days of COVID, nobody really knew what was going on. So I would shout out to them from a distance, "Hi, could I do this?" Sorry, what was your question?
Finding where Sherry and Steve were. So did you deliberately go to a senior's home, or
Oh,
were you just out on a
so-
walk? And
Yeah, so the project started like very close to home. So their senior's home is like about 4 blocks from my house. And kind of, you know, of course, during COVID, everyone's walking more. So we're kind of more aware of things in the neighborhood, I would say. But lots of my models are within, like, I bet you, I don't know, at least more than half of them are from within 1 kilometer of my house. So I would just take my camera, my tripod, and wander out. And most of them were not, you know, some people were scheduled, like the ones I did for people's graduation. Somebody kind of got in touch with me and thought it might be interesting. So I said, yeah, sure, that sounds good. And then they organized to have all those kids together at a particular time, and I showed up. But most of them, like Sherry and Stephen, and like I say, most of them, I was just walking by, like this woman in this photo here. She was just out here by the window. And so I would call out to her and ask her to stay still. And then where's her portrait? And then this is what became her portrait.
I'm not seeing that portrait of Dad. It might be on a different CC.
Oh, sorry. Do you want me to pull it up?
Sure, I would like
Okay.
to see it
Let's see here.
and hear it.
Now you can see it.
Yes.
So yeah, with that long lens, I was able to kind of shoot them from a distance, but then really kind of get up closer to that kind of intimate space.
Mhm. And intimate is exactly that word. You know, I feel that tableau vivant, that little bit of movement, the blinking, the little twitch in the side of the mouth. There's something that makes you feel much closer to the person than if I was looking at a still portrait of them. And I think something else also so beautiful in this exhibit is the music. That creates just another level of feeling and energy. And Bridget, the music in the exhibit really does help to create that mood. And I see it's been described as uplifting, serene, or even sometimes as unsettling. Tell us first, can you tell us a little bit about your process for composing the pieces that we hear in the show?
Sure. So Adad and I jumped. We talked on the phone, Now, I think it was like near the end of March, and Adad had already started his, I was calling them walkabouts, and filming these moments with people. And he proposed to me saying, "Hey, you want to try maybe some music to this, And from my end, I thought it was great because I love moving. I love being engaged. I love like meeting people and moving around. And all of a sudden, all that was taken away from us. We were all like locked in the house. And I just saw it as a wonderful way to sort of, well, I live in Montreal, a wonderful way to travel to another city and meet people, through his table vivant. And so he would send me every week, he would send me all the stuff that he would have shot that he liked and that he wanted to keep. And he was transcribing the interviews, but I was not reading what the people were saying. I literally was just exposed to the image at that moment. And what I decided to do is I just did stream of consciousness writing. Like, so what writing, not literally scoring, like I have my studio set up and I have a MIDI controller, I have all my instruments, I have a microphone, I have the whole setup in the studio. And so I would receive his tableau vivant, and I would see these portraits of people, and I would just go with the flow. And so part of the rule for me was to not do revisions, not think and like revise. It was really about getting it out there based on my connection with the image at that moment. And what's interesting is, for the 3 pieces that we just saw, like I'd like to share, I like to share with Sherry and Stephen. For example, I'm reading this now, 30 years married, it's been pretty cool. Actually, we've become better friends, reality has actually set in. This is the time to love each other now. COVID is scary, but you just have to stick together. And I remember when I saw them, there was a playfulness in their embrace. Like, I didn't know, I couldn't see that you guys were talking, or the giggling was a little bit, I didn't really notice too much the giggling, but there was this lightness of being that was really beautiful. And it was very much like a little cocoon of love. I really quite liked it. And so I went with these kind of more playful ping pong pongs, like I felt like it was the idea too of like long lasting love is by keeping it light and young and having fun and letting go of things and celebrating other things. Like that's really the vibe I got from seeing you guys. So, and I think that the music reflects that. I hope it does. That was my intention, okay. So Susan, wow, Susan is actually one of my favorite pieces. I'm so glad. Thank you for mentioning her. Because
Very welcome.
She was so striking. She had this, like, when I saw her, she had this like strength and resilience and then absolute solitude all put together. But it was not a solitude from COVID. It was like of just this existence of someone who is living in this world and is so connected and at the same time detached. It was just my first impression of her. So I really went with a piece. Well, I felt like her voice was the violin, and I play the violin. So I play many instruments, but the violin was like the main instrument for her. And then there was this kind of like underscore of doo-doo, boom, doo-doo, boom, which I felt like was a little bit more of that solitude, and also just the bright red in an urban landscape of construction. I think that really sort of fed that vibe. So I wanted to have a little bit of try to capture that. And there's a bit of longing in the violin as well. It's beautiful. It's not morose, it's beautiful, but there's a little twinge in there of something, emotional. So, and then the third person, well, she was looking out the window, and I added, I didn't know that, like when you walked up, she was already looking out the window. I didn't know that.
No, I think maybe I'm not sure actually, because I also shot her boyfriend and their kid. So it may have been that she came out on the balcony and then I asked her to come to the window. I can't remember.
But at that moment when I scored for her, I just imagined her forever there. Like that, like Adam had just come up and there she was, and maybe he left and she was still there. So I had a clarinet that I had, my partner and I had gotten for my stepdaughter, and she wasn't using it, so I borrowed it for the day. And then I was making these clarinet sort of sounds, and then kind of trying to create more of a soundscape for her of this like meditation or this Zen. She had a very Zen look. So anyway, so yeah, I went through hundreds of these. I think if I remember, Adad, So I remember scoring about like 250 or something like that. Really insane, like
Oh, it's
230.
There's 237.
Okay,
I
so
think
maybe
you
198.
scored all but like 15, so over 200.
Yeah, and I didn't see them go by. I was so engrossed by his work. His work was so, I mean, just the people, seeing the people, trying to enter their world, trying to get a sense of them. I was just so lost in it that I just really did the stream of consciousness writing. And then I think at 1 or 2 points, maybe there was a couple of them that Ada was like, can we sort of switch this? But like really, he gave me carte blanche. Thank you so much, Ada. And it was a pure pleasure. And then one last thing, the pieces are 20 to 30 seconds long. And my goal is I wanted, they are loopable. I wanted to make the sound somewhat seamless or connect so that when they loop, it's not too jarring, you know. So that was another thing that I had kept in mind when I worked on them.
Yeah, Bridget was doing like 10 of these in a week, and I was always just blown away. Like I would send it to her, and sometimes like the next day they would come back.
Yeah.
I feel like she nailed so many of them without and not knowing the text. I always thought like, wow, like that you, I mean, it kind of reinforced, I guess part of what I liked about a tableau vivant is you can, from somebody's body and posture, you can both like tell so much, but also like that's very much projection, right? Because you aren't able to actually get inside their head. So I think you can kind of like assist in that understanding or something.
Yeah, I love the spontaneity you're describing. And it feels like that's something that's connecting all of you here today with Sherry and Stephen. Just, oh, let's just kiss. It was not a big thought out discussion or dialogue about what to do. Dad, you sounds like you are walking down the street and looking for that inspiration and then going with that without too much of a plan. And you might want to correct me on that. I might have misread it. And Bridget, it sounds like, again, you're looking at a picture and making a read of somebody and using your empathy to connect to what that position and story is. Was there anybody that was difficult for you to connect with, Bridget, that you struggled with in terms of coming up with the soundtrack?
No, I think what as the numbers went higher, I think at one point I was more struggling with my approach to writing because I didn't want to sound the same. So there were some weeks were harder than others because I was looking to change the instrumentation, but you know, I didn't want to change the instrumentation and disregard the image if I was feeling something. But I also, you know what I mean? Like if I was feeling something from someone and it was really asking me to like play with a synthesizer, and let's say I had done like a bunch of synthesizer already and like other pieces, I didn't want to take that away from that person if the person I felt was calling for synthesizer. But at the same time, I guess every week I was just really conscious of the fact that I wanted to switch up instrumentation and I wanted to switch up different approaches to writing just because I didn't want to end up start writing the exact same stuff or that became repetitive. So that was the biggest challenge, was, you know, how to honor the person in the image and then balance it out with like fresh new instrumentation from time to time, and then also finding those themes. And it was a really good exercise. I mean, much more than an exercise, but it was a really good challenge. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
The quantity and the variety, it is really remarkable. Dad, are there any favorite stories you have, additional stories to what we've heard in your encounter with Susan and Sherry and Stephen that you'd like to share?
I mean, there were a lot of funny ones, but mostly it was just, I realized like recently, so, you know, like a year and a half later, that for me also, of course, it was such a great opportunity to kind of get out and connect to people, which I hadn't, I kind of didn't realize that I was also doing it like for myself. So that was kind of, you know, it kind of helped me get through COVID as well, to kind of be out there and interacting with people. But no, it was just a lot of nice little things. And I think, you know, what Sherry was saying is, you know, I think everybody was a little more open. So the number of people that said yes when I approached them was quite high, I thought. And I think, you know, just a moment when, especially, you know, in the beginning of COVID, people were kind of open and friendly. You know, some people said no, but a lot of people didn't. One thing that Bridget did that was really interesting for me was when we did the Black Lives Matter portraits, she suggested to use the kind of ambient sound of the protest. And so the first one from that series, she had just the ambient sound, I think. And then in subsequent ones, she kind of mixed in the ambient sound more. But I thought that was a really interesting way to, I don't know, I guess like, it's kind of like bringing in the now, that moment, right? And so the other ones, it's composed music. So we strip away the sound of that particular moment, and Bridget puts in music. Other ones, she started, she started with using just the ambient sound and then mixed in her audio with that. So that I thought was a kind of interesting part of the project.
And again, as a viewer, I think that ambient sound helps bring us a little more closer into those photos too, and to feel more present in that moment. It is a really beautiful exhibition. It's a moving exhibition. You will feel things when you come and see it. And I felt things today. Thank you so much, Sherry and Stephen, for sharing that story about your experience with doing that, and the story about Susan. Hearing the music, it is so evocative. I get little goosebumps with a lot of the pieces. And of course, the portraits themselves are, we said intimate, but there's a tenderness and sense of humor, and a profound kind of a connection that you can make with these tableaux vivants that is very different from other portraits that you may have seen or experienced. So I encourage people to come and see it. I want to thank you all. Our time has come to an end so quickly. I'll give you a last moment. Sherry, I see you've unmuted. Would you like to say something?
I would really like to share this video with Susan's daughters. How would I do that? Because I'm not so, computer savvy. So you said something about it being on YouTube. So I'd like to show them this particular, because you said it was going to be recorded. How would I do that with them?
I'll send you all the panelists. I'll send you all the links so you have it easily available.
And I would love to forward that to her family, because her daughters, both of them, would probably love to see it. And, thank you very much for having us. We're going to actually come over to Victoria next week before the weather changes and see this exhibit. We're going to walk on the ferry. We've just decided. And yeah, we've got to see it. Thank you, Adad. It's like, I can't wait to see it. Then I can.
Yeah, I'll just put the I just wanted to put what she said in the chat, what Susan said.
Oh, please.
So then you can have that too.
Okay, her family would love that. Thank you.
And now that we've heard that story and we can think about the music, Dad, would you like to share that video again? And Dad, maybe would you like to read that out loud while we see the video?
Sure. Which one? Susan one?
Yes, please.
Oh God, you're going to make me cry again.
I'm
I'm going to mute.
If we watch the video and then read it, just because we won't hear you very well with the sound in the background.
Something about the tattered stuff behind her reminds me of that kind of the way things were just kind of paused. She said, it's nice to get my picture taken. I've been staying in my apartment watching TV and eating. It's like the world just stopped. It's ridiculous with this virus. We can't go anywhere, shopping or anything. We just have to stick to our apartment. We only come out to have a smoke, then go back in again. I talk and text with my family, but it's about all we can do.
Thank you. Well, it's been very nice to have all of you here and to talk about the project and to see these images.
Thank you, Kim.
Between us, Adad Hannah's Social Distancing Portraits is on now until November 13th, 2022 at the Royal BC Museum. And you can find out more about our hours and admission prices on our website. If you're interested in more programs about art or here at the Royal BC Museum and the BC Archives, you can check out our RBCM recordings, Recollecting Women Artists, with our Curator of Art and Images, India Young, and Emily Carr in the Archives with Curator Emerita, Catherine Bridge. Thank you again, everyone. Bye-bye.